Welcome to the Padres Postgame Show on the Padres Radio Network. Coming up, we'll deliver a full recap of today's game, including highlights from the biggest moments. We'll take a trip down to the manager's office to hear from Mike Shildt. Plus, we'll bring you scores from around Major League Baseball. The Padres Postgame Show starts now on the Padres Radio Network.
And today, here's the 1-0. Abrams swings, lines it into right field. Johnson coming on. He's got it, and the ball game is over. Dylan Cease has no hit the Washington Nationals. On a rainy Thursday in D.C., the Padres will celebrate. They have mobbed Cease on the infield, and the Pods sweep the Nats with a 3-0 victory. Cease came close time and time again, and today he gets it done.
A historic day for Dylan Cease and the San Diego Padres in Washington, D.C., as Dylan Cease throws the second no-hitter in San Diego Padres history. He does it against the Washington Nationals on July 25th, 2024. Welcome into our post-game coverage here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. We have a big-time celebration on this post-game show here today. We'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. We will recap each and every aspect of this no-hitter for Dylan Cease, the first of his career on 114 pitches. We hopefully will hear from Dylan. He's got a lot going on, I'm sure, in Washington right now, but we're hoping maybe to get a call in from Dylan Cease, so stay tuned for that, and we will hear from you as well as the Padres win a fifth consecutive game. They sweep another series from the Washington Nationals, and Dylan Cease, who has been so unbelievably terrific as of late. You wondered entering this start, how could he top it, right? Well, somehow, some way, Dylan Cease found a way to top what he's been doing with a no-hitter, 114 pitches, a guy that a couple of seasons ago came 1 out away from securing a no-hitter with the White Sox. It was his now teammate Luis Arraez who broke it up when he was 1 out away. Well, today Dylan Cease left no doubt. A no-hitter, the first of his career and the second in Padres franchise history. The first since Joe Musgrove did it, the first in franchise history back in April of 2021. A lot of different aspects to break down from this no-hitter. And I think you start with this, and this should not be lost in the shuffle when we look back, and we're going to look back on this day, this game, for a long time. Dylan Cease warmed up for this game and then didn't end up actually pitching in the game for an hour, 20, 25, 30 minutes. Remember, we had a rain delay in the top of the first inning. We were wondering just a few hours ago, with what ended up being an hour and 16-minute rain delay, if Dylan Cease would even end up going out for the bottom half of the first inning. He did. And man, was he good. He was just excellent here today, fully in command, 9 strikeouts, walked 3. And again, it starts with that. The fact that this was a bit of an abnormal day for Dylan Cease with how he had to sit down during the rain delay before he even threw a pitch in this game, but it was after he had already warmed up in the bullpen. For him to go out and throw a no-hitter, that is just tremendous and so impressive. You look at where he was through 7 innings. He was at 94 pitches, and you thought to yourself, man, it may be tough for him to get through this, if he can do it, to get through it and stay in this game, because once you start getting into the 120, 130 pitch count, things get a little wacky, right? And we just don't see it in this day and age. Pitchers go that deep. But not only did he come back out for the 8th inning, he was remarkably efficient as this game got deeper. He was at 94 pitches heading into the 8th inning. He threw 9 in the 8th inning. He threw 11 in the 9th inning. So a total of 20 pitches in the final 2 innings. He ends up with a career-high 114 pitches. But Dylan Cease, sensing the moment, sensing what he could do, guess what? He found a way to do it at 114 pitches. And the defense for the Padres, there were a handful of plays in this game, like Jesse and Tony alluded to in the wrap-up, There are a handful of plays in this game that you can point to. There was the ricochet off the glove of Xander Bogaerts on the shallow pop-up into center that Jackson Merrill caught off his mitt. Ends up starting the fifth inning. I mean, if that ball falls in, is that a hit? Is that an error? I don't know, but it's a possibility that it's a hit. Well, the no-hit bid is over at that point to start the fifth inning. But Merrill catching that ball, that was a great defensive play. There was the double play turned in the fourth inning, 5-6-3. Not easy by any means from Solano to Kim to Cronenworth. That was a key play. You look at the play in the eighth inning with Xander Bogaerts diving to his left. Look, if Xander doesn't get a handle on that ball ultimately and get it to first base, that may end up being a base hit ruled in Washington. So there were a number of key defensive plays in this game, but more than anything else, it was about the absolute dominance and continued dominance of Dylan Cease. Again, the final line, 9 innings, no runs, no hits, 3 walks. He struck out 9, 114 pitches, and 71 for strikes. And we have said about his last 2 outings, I said it pregame today, he had been nearly unhittable. He gave up just 1 hit in each of his last 2 outings, the one before the All-Star break against Atlanta, the last one after the All-Star break against Cleveland. And here today, he one-ups himself. 9 no-hit innings. You look at his last 3 starts. I mean, this is just ridiculous. 22 innings, 2 hits, and he struck out 30 in his last 3 starts. So this is really about more than just today. It truly feels like Dylan Cease has been building to this the last couple of starts. He's been nearly unhittable the last couple of starts, and today he was unhittable. Just tremendous. And we'll finish up with this, then we'll go to break. We'll hear from Mike Shildt. Hopefully we'll hear from Dylan Cease as well. Stay tuned for all of it. But you look at what Padres pitching has done in this 5-game win streak. They've allowed now 4 runs on a grand total of 14 hits in the 5-game win streak. The pitching staff combined 4 runs on 14 hits. And guess what? It was 4 runs on 14 hits yesterday. That number did not change because Dylan Cease shut out the Nationals and threw a no-hitter. You look at the starting pitching for the Padres on this road trip since the All-Star break. 41 innings, 5 runs given up, a 1.10 ERA, 6 consecutive quality starts, and it was capped by a no-hitter for Dylan Cease here today. The Padres have won 5 in a row, and an afternoon in Washington, D.C. that Dylan Cease and the Padres will simply remember forever. We'll come back. We'll recap this game from start to finish. We have a lot of the highlights. We have the final out of the 6th inning, the 7th inning, the 8th inning, the 9th inning. We'll also hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Again, no promises. They've got a lot going on there in D.C., but we're hoping maybe to get Dylan Cease on the phone, hear from him here on the post-game show. Lot to do. Padres win it 3-0 against the Washington Nationals, a 5th in a row. Dylan Cease throws the 2nd no-hitter in San Diego Padres franchise history. Our post-game show continues after this. Our postgame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Dylan Cease throws the second no-hitter in San Diego Padres franchise history. 9 innings, no runs, no hits. He struck out 9 on 114 pitches. A historic day in Washington, D.C. against the Nationals. The Padres sweep the Nats. They have won 5 in a row, and Dylan Cease, who has been nearly unhittable as of late entering today, well, today he was unhittable. A tremendous performance. We are hoping to be joined by Dylan Cease. Again, no promises. He's got a lot going on, a lot of celebrating to do right now at Nationals Park, but we're hoping for it. Do want to give you a heads up. We may be joined by Dylan Cease, so stay tuned for that. We'll also hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. A lot to recap from this game. Remember, we had the rain delay. We had some early offense, but the story ended up being the Padres right-hander. Let's recap this one from start to finish.
What moments had the biggest impact on today's game? We'll paint you a picture with our game recap on the Padres Radio Network.
We begin in the top of the first inning. Donovan Solano hit a 1-out single against Patrick Corbin. Xander Bogaerts walked. Jake Cronenworth drew a 2-out walk to load the bases. Ha-Seong Kim then dug in against Nationals starter Patrick Corbin. The rain was falling down. The count went to 1-0, and then the game was stopped. The tarp came on. We went into what would become a 1-hour and 16-minute rain delay. So after all of that, the rain went away. Corbin went back to the mound. The at-bat with Kim resumed, and it turns out it was worth the wait.
3-2 again. Now pitch number 9 from Corbin. Kim swings, lines it into left field. That will drop down and a base hit. Solano has scored. Bogaerts on his way. Now after a slip in left by Wood, Cronenworth will come in safely right ahead of the tag from Ruiz. 3-run score and worth the wait for Ha-Seong Kim.
After waiting around for nearly an hour and a half after initially warming up for his start, Dylan Cease finally took the mound in the bottom half of the first inning. He was rolling early on. Very clear, he had very good stuff. 2 strikeouts and a scoreless first, a 1-2-3 second, a 1-2-3 third. He worked around a 1-out walk in the fourth inning. It was Juan Yepez who led off the fifth inning for Washington.
Here's the 1-2, and Yepez pops it up off the handle of the bat, shallow center. Bogaerts awkwardly going back, reaching for it, basket catch, couldn't make the play, but Merrill grabbed it out of the air, 1 away.
It always feels like a no-hitter has a play like that in it. We thought at the time it was only the 5th inning, maybe that would be the play. Cease retired the next 2 batters. He was 65 pitches in, 5 scoreless, no-hit innings. Padres were still hanging on to a 3-0 lead, but Cease just kept on going. He got a ground out to begin the 6th inning. He struck out Ildemargo Vargas for out number 2. Jacob Young was next.
Young swings, misses, strike 3. 100-mile-an-hour fastball, a 1-2-3-6 with a couple of Ks, and we go to the 7th inning.
Cease was 78 pitches in. He went back to work in the 7th. He allowed his 3rd walk to begin the inning, but then a ground out, a fly out. Juan Yepez dug in.
Yepez swings, grounds it to the left side. Solano in the breadbasket has got it. Throw to first in time. 7 no-hit innings for Dylan Cease.
He was through 7 hitless innings, 94 pitches. On to the 8th inning. He stayed in. He struck out James Wood. Keibert Ruiz grounded out to second base. Luis Garcia Jr. was next.
1-1. Now the pitch. Swung on, bounced up the middle, right to Kim, behind second base. Throw to first is in time. 8 no-hit innings for Dylan Cease.
The Padres still led just 3-0 heading to the bottom half of the 9th inning. Dylan Cease was 103 pitches into his outing. Was there any question he was going to come back out? At this point, I don't think so. We were going to see if Dylan Cease could polish off his first career no-hitter. He had to face spots 8, 9, and 1 in the Nationals lineup. He got Vargas to ground out. He got Young to ground out. He was 2 outs away. C.J. Abrams, the Nationals leadoff man, dug in. The former Padre, it was Abrams against Cease. Cease was 1 out away from a no-no.
Here's the 1-0. Abrams swings, lines it into right field. Johnson coming on. He's got it, and the ball game is over. Dylan Cease says no hit. The Washington Nationals. On a rainy Thursday in D.C., the Padres will celebrate. They have mobbed Cease on the infield, and the Pods sweep the Nats with a 3-0 victory. Cease came close time and time and time again, and today he gets it done.
Dylan Cease, the second no-hitter in San Diego Padres franchise history, and the first of his major league career. 9 innings, no runs, no hits. He struck out 9 on 114 pitches. And right now, we go to Washington, D.C. at Nationals Park. We're joined by Dylan Cease. Dylan, congratulations on a tremendous start, a tremendous day. Take me through what your emotions are right now. How you feeling?
Oh, thank you. Right now I just feel happy. I don't know how else to describe it. It really is. It's almost too good to be true. I don't even know how to feel right now.
Dylan, at what point today did you realize that you were maybe in the midst of something special?
I feel like after the 5th, it kind of starts getting serious. And then after the 7th, it's like, you're very close. So I try not to think about it too much. It's inevitable. It's going to cross your mind, but I was just trying to focus more on pitch sequencing and where I wanted to get the ball.
Dylan, did you feel that intensity heighten as you got into the 8th inning? Your pitch count after 7 was at 94. It was at 103 pitches after 8. Did you feel things getting a little bit more tense? Were you concerned about the pitch count at all?
Yeah, it was a little concerning. After that 7th, I think I was at 94, 95, and I kind of just had mapped it in my mind. Like if I finish the 8th with like 105, then that should buy me, an inning's worth of pitches. So that was kind of what was on my mind. And then other than that, like I said, it was just how am I going to sequence and how am I going to execute.
Dylan, a couple of years ago with the White Sox, you came 1 out away. And in fact, it was your now teammate, Luis Arraez, who broke it up. When you think back to that day and you think about what you did today, how sweet is this, considering you have come so close in the past?
Yeah, if it happened twice, it would have been heartbreaking, I can tell you that. But, anytime you can do something that's, like that, it almost feels too good to be true. So much has to go right. Look at those multiple defensive plays today that went our way. I couldn't be more thrilled.
Yeah, you mentioned the defense. There was the catch in center by Merrill on the deflection off Bogart-Smith. Xander made a great play later in the game. There was a double play from Solano to Kim that was not easy whatsoever. What did you think about the way your defense helped you through this no-hitter?
Man, they were rock solid. I wouldn't have thrown it without them. But Merrill being behind Bogey right there and making that play, and Bogey making that kind of double clutch sliding play on Ruiz. It's just so much has to go right, and I'm sure when I look back at this, it's going to be even more amazing.
Dylan, that moment in the bottom half of the 9th inning, 2 outs, you're facing the Nationals leadoff man, C.J. Abrams, line drive to right. Johnson catches it. You leap up in the air. Your teammates swarm you, celebrate with you. Take me through your emotions, your feelings. What was that moment like to finally do it?
Man, I don't even know. I don't really know how I felt. I was just so happy, and, I just kind of let out a scream. I think it was like a primal scream, and then everyone is around me. So I think that was the most fun part is, everyone kind of not dogpiling, but, forming a circle and just being so happy. And I was just screaming yes. I think I screamed yes like 50 times. And, man, that's something I'll be able to relive in my mind for the rest of my life.
Well, Dylan, screaming yes for good reason. What a performance here today. You've been so good as of late, and you were quite literally unhittable in this one here today. Dylan, again, congratulations on your first career no-hitter, and we'll see you back here in San Diego. Thanks so much for calling in. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, that is Dylan Cease calling us from Nationals Park in Washington, D.C. Wow, big thank you to Dylan Cease and the Padres for setting that up. What a great moment for Dylan Cease, and a day the Padres and Dylan Cease, his family, his friends, they're going to remember for a long time. Let's quickly pause for Station ID on the Padres Radio Network.
KWFN and KWFN HD1 San Diego.
Hi, this is Luis Camposano. The Padres play here on San Diego's #1 station, 97.3 The Fan.
And Odyssey Sports Station.
Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. Again, the final score here today, Padres 3 and the Nationals nothing. Dylan Cease, his first career no-hitter, the second no-hitter in the history of the San Diego Padres. When we come back, we'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. We'll get his thoughts on today's game, this win, the series sweep of the Nationals. The Padres are living right now. They really are. 5 straight wins, a sweep of the Nats. They're already 5-1 on this 9-game road trip as they head to Baltimore. We'll hear from Mike Shildt when we come back on the Padres Radio Network. Our postgame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Final score, the San Diego Padres 3 and the Washington Nationals nothing. Dylan Cease, a no-hitter today in Washington, the second in Padre history. 114 pitches. We just heard from Dylan, kind enough to call us and reflect on the no-hitter. And again, there were just so many impressive aspects of this game, what the Padres did on a handful of occasions behind Dylan defensively, but also for Cease. There are really two things beyond his usual dominance that were really impressive. And the minute he hung up the phone, I wish I would have asked him about just the rain part of it and how difficult that was here today. But to be honest with you, he probably would have said it wasn't that big of a deal. Didn't look like a very big deal. But the fact that Dylan, after warming up in the bullpen for this game, had to sit around for an hour 25 minutes or so. The rain delay was 1:16, an hour and 16 minutes. So by the time Dylan got out there, and you can even tack on a little bit, by the time he got out there from the let me put it this way, from the time he warmed up in the bullpen to the time he actually took the mound in the bottom half of the first inning, that's got to be at least an hour and a half because the rain delay itself was an hour and 16 minutes. So, again, for Dylan to warm up, have to sit down for about an hour and a half, get back on the mound and do what he did, that is a part of this no-hitter story that should not be forgotten. It should not be forgotten. What an impressive outing considering the odd nature that he had to pitch with in warming up early and then having to wait all that time to take the mound in the bottom half of the first inning. The second aspect, which you just loved, he was at 94 pitches through 7 innings. He was really efficient down the stretch. Look, we're all thinking it as he's getting out there for the 8th inning, getting out there for the 9th inning. You're hoping he can get through it. You're hoping he can limit the pitch count enough where the Padres and Mike Shildt and Ruben Niebla will allow him to get through the outing and give him a shot to finish it. We see it all the time. Not everybody gets a shot to finish it. They just don't in today's day and age in baseball. But he got through the 8th inning on 9 pitches. He was at 103 after 8, and he got through the 9th inning on 11 pitches for 114 total. 20 pitches in the final 2 innings. So he was remarkably efficient as the game went on. And all in all, a no-hitter today for Dylan Cease. Let's go back to Washington, hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Presented by Sinley Food. Spice up your culinary life.
Mike, just tell us about your view and how you kind of rode that at the last few innings there.
It was a magnificent performance. A lot of variables to it. The start of the game was interesting enough where he gets hot and take the mound, and has an hour and I believe it's 15 minute rain delay. And so, then he goes back out and navigates through the first inning and comes in. He's like, I'm not quite there. Second inning, getting there. And then third inning, he just hit his stride. And, from my seat, candidly, there was a back and forth after the 7th with him in a very healthy way, because in my mind, he's at 94 pitches. I'm factoring in the beginning of the game, looking to the long view of the season. But immediately he was convicted, like, I'm going back out. I'm like, no, I'm going back out. I'm like, mm-mm. And he comes in, I'm like, I think that's good today. That's good, and I've only had one other guy ever talk me out of it. And I just love the conviction. I think it's important in my chair to be able to be open-minded and listen to your athletes. He felt good. He felt convicted. He made a really strong case. I want him to go back out too, but again, looking at the big picture and the factor before, but once I cleared that with him, he was good. He's going to get an extra day before he faces the next opponent. And, at that point we were committed to it and had somebody to back him up in case somebody had gotten a hit. But to his credit, he went back out, straight attack mode, and defense made their plays. And but that was a magnificent, obviously historical day for Dylan Cease.
Just to be sure, he did the 9 pitches in the 8th. Was that important to you?
Yes.
Was there a point?
That was huge. Again, I didn't have a number in mind necessarily, but it wasn't going to get in the high 20s or 30s or anything like that. It's a slippery slope. But the other thing about it is, as you would expect a no-hitter, not a ton of stress. So that part you could justify. He did have a little bit of quicker innings in between, but he's a really, well-conditioned athlete and takes care of himself, so that wasn't an issue for him. But his efficient 8th set him up for the 9th.
Was there any conversation between the 8th and the 9th?
No conversation at that point.
You said when we came in here, you don't see that every day. It's only the second one in Padres history. So from that standpoint, you're the skipper now. So what does that mean to you, just to watch that?
It's clearly Dylan's accomplishment. Yes, what it means to me, it's the first one I've ever managed in however many years. I've been really, really close. And of course, it's not about me. It's always about the guys competing, and your heart goes out for the guys that have ended up with 1-hitters in the 9th. We've had a couple brushes this year where we're like, okay, we got a chance to navigate this and how we're going to do it relative to pitch count and bullpen and all that. But it was a privilege to be a part of Dylan's no-hitter.
So what's it like approaching a guy then who's working on a no-hitter mid-start with the conversation topic being like, we might have to take you out of this game?
I was prepared to have done it, and the conversation was really just matter of fact. I don't. We have the same flow of conversation takes place with me, Ruben, pitchers. It was just it was an abnormal normal start for Dylan, and so that conversation, like I alluded to earlier, it gets a little, you check in with guys, check in with your catcher, how's he feeling, what's he got left. That was a decision really for him to be convicted, which he was no doubt convicted about what that looked like, and look over, Joe's like, stuff's pretty good. Like, well, he's thrown one. He knows what this looks like. So anyway, we let him ride.
Joe was there during.
Joe was standing there.
So he said that amid that conversation.
Yeah, it was. Hey, what? He's like, guys, I feel great. Joe's like, stuff's still good, which clearly it was. Me and Ruben were talking about even in the sixth, into the sixth. It's like, all right, what's this looking like? And he's throwing 100. And stuff was coming out clean in the seventh. So, but we also have a ball game to compete with.
Looking back, knowing what we know now, can you kind of put in context the play that Merrill made on the Bo Hurts ball into the outfield?
I did think about it. I'm sure many of us did as it got closer. Like, I don't know who they are, but typically you look up and there's a defensive player too that has to be made. Bogey made one. Bogey started another one that Jackson was able to, come in and stay heads up on and make a baseball athletic play. And when you get a play like that, you go, okay, this is favorable, obviously.
What about a rookie, being that heads up in the moment and being right there on a play like that?
That's just Jackson. That's just a baseball player. I don't know that it has a status for him anymore, whether it's a rookie or a veteran. He's just a baseball player, and he's proven that. And it's a really heady play, and turned out to be in a big moment.
And last thing on that, when the ball was in the air and you saw, Xander's got his back to the infield, he's running a long way.
Yep.
Second basemen aren't supposed to be out there. And did you think they had any chance of making that play in the moment?
I thought he had a chance to make it. Yeah, absolutely. I knew it was going to have to be the degree of difficulty was going to be relatively high. But I definitely, I always feel like our guys they're playmakers. So I was like, yeah, we can make this play. Clearly it was like, come on, and then it's like, oh, okay, nice play.
Who was the other guy who talked you out of not taking them out?
Wainwright. Adam Wainwright.
How did that time go?
Went very well. Yeah. So
how did he convince you not to take?
It was just a conversation in the dugout. It wasn't nearly as. It was impactful. It was later in the game, and we had our bullpen rested, and he was pitching his tail off and just went down. I think that's good. And he was pretty clear it wasn't. And they're hard conversations, man. Sometimes you got to be the adult. And like I said earlier. I also am open-minded to listen to our players and having some trust in them. So it took place today, and Dylan deserved it and rewarded it.
That was Padres manager Mike Shildt after this 3-0 win for the Padres against the Washington Nationals. A no-hitter, second ever no-hitter in the history of the San Diego Padres by Dylan Cease. Absolutely terrific, and you heard a lot there from Mike Shildt about the process, the conversations that went on regarding Dylan Cease and staying in that game. Again, he was at 94 pitches through 7 innings, and it sounded like that was the real point where they started having conversation about it, and you heard there the 9-pitch 8th inning. That was a big reason as to why the Padres and Mike Shildt and Ruben Niebla, why they were able to keep Dylan Cease in this game. The 9-pitch 8th inning, and then he caps it with an 11-pitch 9th inning. And I'll tell you what, you come out of this no-hitter not feeling like Dylan Cease had to overextend himself to go get it. 114 pitches. he can handle that. And it's a career high, but it's only one over a career high. So, look, I think all in all, this was a fantastic day. Dylan Cease gets the no-hitter. Padres get a sweep of the Washington Nationals, and they will keep on rolling into Baltimore. When we come back, we'll start to get through some of our daily awards. We'll squeeze some phone calls in before we flip things over to Chris Ello and Matt Scraby for the rest of the afternoon into early evening. Phone number, if you want to sound off, celebrate this win, celebrate this no-hitter for Dylan Cease, 833-288-0973. Again, 833-288-0973. Full look at the out-of-town scoreboard and much, much more to do. Final score, a no-hitter for Dylan Cease and the Padres. The Padres 3 and the Nationals nothing on the Padres Radio Network. Our postgame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Final score, Padres 3 and the Nationals nothing. And that is just the start of the story from this one. Dylan Cease, a no-hitter, the first of his career, the second in San Diego Padres history. He does it on 114 pitches. He strikes out 9, walks 3, no runs, no hits. A tremendous day for Dylan and the San Diego Padres. We continue on our post-game coverage. We'll have a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard coming up in just a little bit. I spoke with Dylan Cease from Nationals Park in D.C. earlier. I'm sure they'll replay that on Gwynn and Chris with Chris Ello and Matt Scraby a little bit later, so stay tuned to them a little bit later on in the afternoon. I'm sure they'll get to that quick interview with Dylan Cease. And again, a big thank you to Dylan for joining us. I mean, one of the biggest moments of his life, and he's calling into our post-game show moments after. So we love that. And we'll also hear the final out once again. We'll continue to break down each and every aspect of this game and the Dylan Cease no-hitter. And important to note, the lone offense in this game, it came on one swing. What a weird game this was. It really was when you consider the rain delay. The game gets paused during the at-bat for Ha-Sung Kim in the first inning. Bases loaded, 2 out. Patrick Corbin on the mound for the Nationals. Kim at the plate. The count goes to 1-0. The sky's open. We go into a rain delay. We sit around for an hour and 16 minutes. And in that at-bat, when we resume, Kim hits a 3-run double. And that ends up being the only runs produced in a game that saw a no-hitter on the other side. And we've talked about how not strange, but almost unusual and impressive it was that Dylan Cease did this on a day where he had to warm up and then sit around for an hour and a half before he actually pitched in the game. So there are so many different aspects to this one that are unusual and a little bit weird, but how about that? The at-bat that was paused during the rain delay, it actually resulted in the only runs of this game that ended up scoring. So Padres win it 3-0. They had 6 hits in this game. They've won 5 in a row. They're 5-1 out of the All-Star break on this 6-game road trip, and they will keep things rolling into Baltimore. We'll get some of your phone calls here in a second. First, and we're going to have to navigate through this one in a good way. Let's tell you about today's relief pitcher of the game.
Which pitcher was able to come in and slam the door shut? It's time for the relief pitcher of the game in support of the Jacobs and Cushman San Diego Food Bank, providing food assistance to local children, families, and seniors in need. To get help or give help, visit SanDiegoFoodBank.org.
So here's the thing about today, and from my memory, I can't remember in my now 3 seasons with the Padres radio network, this may be the first complete game we've had in my 3 seasons. Don't quote me on that, but I think the no-hitter today might be the only one. I'd really have to go back and look, but I bring it up because I've never been faced with this, where the Padres didn't have a single reliever in this game. Dylan Cease went 9 innings. No hit the Nationals. So what do we do? Well, the Nationals had a couple of relievers, but I gotta be honest with you, it feels really wrong to give anything to the Nationals today. So, a tip of the cap to Derek Law and Jose Ferrer of the Nationals, who both pitched scoreless innings. They were the only relievers of this game. But I guess we just sorta leave the award empty today in the best of ways. So a tip of the cap to the Nationals bullpen, but in the best of ways, the Padres didn't need a reliever here today. So we leave it empty, our reliever of the game here on the Padres radio network. I don't think it's ever happened before, but I'm not giving it to a national reliever. I can't. So it'll just be left empty, the mantle for July 25th. 2024. Dylan Cease made sure of that. 9 no-hit innings against the Washington Nationals. All right, let's go to the phones. 833-288-0973. Run through some phone calls here. We do want to get you to Chris Ello, Matt Scraby coming up in a little while. We begin today with Thomas in Del Cerro. Thomas, what's going on? You lead us off. What's up?
Oh, wow. What a pleasure. I'm actually in D.C. right now. We just saw history right now. We're so excited. We met a bunch of people from San Diego. We're here driving. We're leaving the stadium. I mean, I had tears in my eye. I was crying, man. I can't believe we win this history.
That's awesome, Thomas. That's awesome.
It was worth the flight.
Yeah, there you go. So you were at the game. You were at the game in D.C.
We're going to Baltimore tomorrow, watching that game, and hope we get another no-hitter at that game. I mean, it was something special. I mean, it's going to live with us for the rest of our lives.
All right. That is awesome, Thomas. Thank you for calling in after you experienced that in Washington, D.C. How about that? Good for Thomas going out there. Nice flight. You enjoy a sweep. That would have been good enough, right? If you're a Padres fan, you went out to Washington to watch this series, a sweep, and how the Padres played, and you get a no-hitter to cap it off. Very, very, very nice as the Padres win it by a final score of 3-0. Let's take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard, tell you what's going on today around the major leagues.
Let's take a trip around the Bigs and tell you about the scores you need to know in our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Meat, where great taste meets integrity.
We take a look around the major leagues, tell you what's going on. We have a couple of other finals already today. Tigers beat the Guardians in Cleveland 3-0. Javier Baez, a 3-run home run in that game for the Guards. Orioles beat the Marlins in Miami 7-6, the final in 10. Orioles had a lead in that game. They coughed it up, but they came back to win it in Miami. Games going on right now. White Sox trailing the Rangers 2-1 in Arlington in the 7th inning. Rays ahead of the Blue Jays 3-0 in Toronto in the 5th inning. Giants and the Dodgers in LA in the 2nd. They're scoreless there. Clayton Kershaw making his season debut in that one. And finally, a couple of games still yet to begin. The Braves and the Mets at 4:10 in New York. The A's and the Angels at 6:40 in Anaheim. So we have a few finals, few games going on, couple of games still yet to begin, and that is a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Thursday across the major leagues. All right, we'll step aside. When we come back, we will get some more of your phone calls, wrap things up, get you ready for tomorrow's game in Baltimore, but we will get to some more of your phone calls when we come back. 833-288-0973. If you want to call in, chime in, sound off about this no-hitter for Dylan Cease today in Washington, D.C. We'll get to those phone calls after the break. We'll also tell you about our player of the game. If you missed the radio call from Jesse Agler, we'll play it for you one more time. Great call by Jesse as he was on the play-by-play for the second no-hitter in San Diego Padres history. By the way, we should note for those guys, Jesse, Tony, and Dave, they were not there in person for the first no-hitter. Remember, they were actually still doing the games from Petco Park remotely in 2021, in April of 2021, when Joe Musgrove threw the first no-hitter in Padres franchise history. So truly a special day for everybody in the booth, whether it's Jesse, Tony, Dave, Don, Mud. A special day for all those guys because they were actually not there for the first no-hitter. Not that it takes anything away from the accomplishment, but they weren't there to see it. They weren't there to call it how it's meant to be called in person. So pretty cool. We've got phone lines lighting up. We'll run through phone calls when we come back. Player of the game, play of the game. Padres win it 3-0 against the Washington Nationals. Dylan Cease throws the second no-hitter in the history of the San Diego Padres. Our post-game coverage continues after this. Our postgame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. Dylan Cease throws a no-hitter against the Washington Nationals as the Padres win it 3-0. The second no-hitter in franchise history. The first no-hitter in the career of Dylan Cease. He was 1 out away with the White Sox against the Twins. That was back in 2022. And guess who broke it up? Luis Arraez broke it up, and his now teammates with Arraez. Arraez was not in the lineup today, but in the dugout as Dylan Cease completed the no-no. So a very, very special day for Dylan Cease and the San Diego Padres. We will hear every out from the sixth inning, or I should say every final out of the innings 6 through 9. So we're going to hear the final out of the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th innings. We'll have that for you coming up in just a little bit. So stay tuned for that. 833-288-0973. The phone number to call. We have lit up phone lines right now, so I do want to get you involved as we celebrate a fantastic day in the history of the San Diego Padres. Let's go to Chuck calling in from La Mesa. Hi, Chuck. You're on the Padres postgame show. What's up?
How you doing?
Doing great, Chuck.
Hey, out of curiosity, how long has Dylan been in the Major League Baseball, and how old is he roughly?
Chuck, I can tell you exactly. I will make sure. I think he is 28 years old off the top of my head, but I'm going to tell you right now. He's 28 years old, and this is his, his 6th Major League season. So there you go, Chuck.
Okay. Hey, one other thing. Do you know of any pitchers that have had more than one no-hitter? Because he came in 1 out of this would have been his second.
You're right. Yes, it would have been his second had he got the first one. He didn't get the first one. But yes, a handful of pitchers have had multiple no-hitters. I'll spare everybody the list, Chuck. But you know what, Chuck? He'll have an opportunity to do it the next time out. That'll be at home. The next time out, I presume that would be against the Dodgers. That next start. So, hey, how about that? And I'll tell you what. With the way Dylan Cease is pitching, would you put it past him? How dominant he's been? Again, you look at his last 3 starts. I mean, it is remarkable. His last 3 starts, he's given up no runs on 2 hits in his last 3 starts. No runs on 2 hits. It has just been remarkable for Dylan Cease. A combined 22 innings, 2 hits allowed, no runs, and he struck out a grand total of, I'm doing the math here, of 30. Let me make sure I'm getting that right. Hold on. Is it a grand total of 30? I think it is. Let's just go back to July 13th where that 3-start span begins. Make sure I give you the right information here. Yeah, it's 30 strikeouts in 22 innings. 2 hits given up in his last 3 starts. That's going back to before the All-Star break, that game against Atlanta to wrap up his first half. He has been, like we said pregame, nearly unhittable the last couple of starts entering today. Today, he literally was unhittable. Just remarkable. So, hey, keep your eye on it, Chuck. Who knows? Next start against the Dodgers, he goes for back-to-back no-nos. Let's go to Michael in La Mesa. Hi, Michael.
Hi, how you doing today?
Doing great.
Yeah, all I want to say is the rain stopped and the sun was shining on Dylan Cease today.
Yeah, great way to put it. Great way to put it.
Yeah, I was explaining to my girlfriend, Marie, how hard it is to get an old hitter. And you do have to have a little bit of luck on your side, but Dylan Cease has been just amazing.
Yeah, he's been incredible as of late, Michael, and appreciate the phone call. He's been incredible. And look, the Padres pitching has been incredible lately. You look at the last 5 games, this 5-game win streak, they've given up 4 runs on 14 hits. That's it. In the 5 games, 4 runs on 14 hits. That's under a run per game and less than 3 hits per game. 4 runs on 14 hits. And by the way, it was that total after last night. Dylan Cease didn't give up a run or a hit today. So the starting pitching and the pitching in general, really aside from 1 inning, that 8th inning in Game 1 in Cleveland on this road trip, it has been unbelievably good. You look at the starting pitching since the All-Star break, 41 innings, 5 runs given up. That's a 1.10 ERA, including what Dylan Cease did today. It has been beyond good. It has been just fantastic. And look, in the wider sense of this trip, They're now 5-1 on the trip heading to Baltimore. It puts them in a great position. Look, you somehow win the series in Baltimore. You take 2 out of 3 or better. You've had a simply outstanding road trip that included 2 series against a couple of first-place teams. But you've put yourself in a position now where, I don't want to say you have wiggle room to lose a game or 2 in Baltimore, and I'm not even putting that on them, but it does take a little pressure off. At least you're not in a position going to Baltimore, a first-place team, where you feel like you've got to go win 2 out of 3 or sweep a series to make it a good trip. They're 5-1 on this trip. They've won 5 in a row. They've not won 6 games in a row all year, so they'll try to do that tomorrow. And they've got, we don't know who they have on the mound tomorrow right now. We'll see what the pitching plans end up being. But they've got a good chance to now really make this not just a good road trip against, that had 2 series against a couple of first-place teams, but to make this an outstanding trip. We'll see if they can do it. But right now, you love what they're doing pitching-wise. Look, we said it a couple of nights ago. When you pitch like this, it makes life really easy for a baseball team and a baseball fan. You're going to have a real good chance to win every night. And when you have somebody pitch like Dylan Cease pitch today, you're going to have pretty much an automatic chance to win a game. So they've been terrific, and the road trip so far, 5-1, really, really good so far. Let's go to Lake Elsinore. It's Mark. Mark, you're on the Padres postgame show. What's up?
Hey, Sammy. Good to hear you. When Joe was throwing his no-hitter, my daughter had to call me and alert me to it, and I got to catch the last 2 innings of that one. This one, I've been on the road all day, but I've been listening, and so I stopped for the last 2 innings to watch it on my phone. And, man, born in 1968 in San Diego, and I couldn't be happier to have caught both of those no-hitters.
Yeah.
One, just because my daughter was looking out for me. And also, I remember a caller called in during the rain delay and said, hey, Sammy, you had to get up early for this one, and then you were lamenting a bit about having to extend your day. I'll bet it doesn't bother you as much now.
No, it doesn't. I'll tell you what, Mark, it was a weird day, right, between having to wake up for an 8:05 a.m. pregame show. Then we started the game, had a rain delay, and then Dylan Cease takes the mound, ends up throwing a no-hitter. It really an odd day in a lot of different ways, and now we're still on the air at nearly 1:40 p.m., and Dylan Cease threw a no-hitter today. It is just remarkable. And, hey, look, Mark, I think a lot of Padres fans will relate to what you're saying, longtime fans that did not see a no-hitter forever. And now they've seen 2 in the span of 4 seasons. They had the one in 2021 with Musgrove and Arlington, and now the one here today. So pretty special day anytime you have a no-hitter, and especially in today's game. I mean, we see a lot of guys throw 7, 8 no-hit innings, and then with the pitch counts today get taken out of the game. I mean, let's be honest about it. We don't see these as much as we used to, at least single pitcher no-hitters. A single pitcher no-hitter, one guy doing it, is really different, in my mind at least, than a combined no-hitter. A combined no-hitter does not have the same juice, but when you have a no-hitter like Joe had in 2021, and you have a no-hitter like Dylan had here today, it is extraordinarily special, and you should feel really happy as a Padres fan. They're playing well, and today was pretty darn special, so enjoy it. Not every day you see a no-hitter, and as we know, we don't have to tell Padres fans this. Hey, you can go a long time without seeing another. So enjoy this one here today. Just a marvelous performance from right-hander Dylan Cease. Let's tell you about, and you're going to guess this one, our player of the game on this Thursday.
Which player had the biggest impact on today's game? Let's find out who is today's player of the game. Presented by Valley View Casino and Hotel. Catch every game at Patties and Pints. Plus, enjoy $4 beer every Thursday. Visit valleyviewcasino.com today.
Young swings, misses, strike 3. 100-mile-an-hour fastball, a 1-2-3-6 with a couple of Ks, and we go to the 7th inning. Yepes swings, grounds it to the left side. Solano in the breadbasket has got it. Throw to first in time. 7 no-hit innings for Dylan Cease. 1-1. Now the pitch. Swung on, bounced up the middle, right to Kim, behind second base. Throw to first is in time. 8 no-hit innings for Dylan Cease.
No doubt about it, Dylan Cease, our player of the game. No-hitter. Tremendous. We've talked a lot about how great Dylan has been as of late. This is from OptaStats on Twitter. Dylan Cease is the first major league pitcher in the modern era to have at least 8 strikeouts while also not allowing more than 1 hit in 3 consecutive starts. I mean, that's dominance. It's absolute dominance. And we saw it early in the year, how good, how dominant Dylan could be. But the last 3 in particular, and here today in particular, he has taken it to a whole nother level. And it's been a lot of fun to watch. So in that little compilation, we heard the final out of the 6th inning. We heard the final out of the 7th inning. We heard the final out of the 8th inning. But one thing was missing. Dylan Cease, 2 outs in the 9th inning, up above 110 pitches. Here was our play of the game.
What was the crucial play that determined who came out on top? This is today's Play of the Game, presented by Bill Howe Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
Here's the 1-0. Abrams swings, lines it into right field. Johnson coming on. He's got it, and the ball game is over. Dylan Cease says no hit. The Washington Nationals. On a rainy Thursday in D.C., the Padres will celebrate. They have mobbed Cease on the infield, and the Pods sweep the Nats with a 3-0 victory. Cease came close time and time and time again, and today he gets it done.
No doubt about it, our play of the game. The final out of today's no-hitter, Dylan Cease against the Washington Nationals on July 25th, 2024. Tell you what, there were a couple of really interesting elements to this game, the way it went down, right? Let's begin with this. Luis Arraez, who broke up Dylan Cease's last no-hit bid, his last real deep no-hit bid. He was through 8 2/3 innings against the Twins in 2022. 8 2/3 innings, and in steps Luis Arraez, who broke it up with a base hit. He was 1 out away. And now they're teammates. Arraez was not in the lineup today, but who's watching from the third base dugout in Washington? None other than Luis Arraez. So that's one interesting element to it. And how about this interesting element to it? The final batter of this game, the final out, recorded by C.J. Abrams, former Padre, a key part of the trade for Juan Soto back in the summer of 2022. The reason that is so very interesting, even beyond just the fact that C.J. is a former Padre top prospect, big part of the trade, is this. That trade got the Padres Juan Soto. The Padres then traded Juan Soto this offseason to the New York Yankees. Part of that package that came back from New York, a right-hander, minor leaguer named Dylan Thorpe. And then Dylan Thorpe ended up being, not Dylan, Drew Thorpe. I got Dylan on the brain. Drew Thorpe. Frank looked at me. That was a good job, Frank. You caught that. Drew Thorpe from the New York Yankees. Dylan Drew Thorpe. And then the Padres end up flipping Drew Thorpe as part of the package that went to the White Sox for Dylan Cease right before the season started. So if you want to take that long and kind of windy road and connection, you can actually connect C.J. Abrams to Dylan Cease being on the Padres and facing the Nationals and that final out here today. Baseball can be a funny game where you can have lots of windy connections that somehow make sense with one another. And the Padres win this game 3-0. They win a 5th in a row. All right, let's squeeze in one more call. Stephen Poway, you'll have the final word on the post-game show. How are you?
Hey, good. I have a couple comments, but also want to rain on the parade a little bit here.
Okay.
I think the team obviously is playing really good. I'm really happy for Steve getting a no-hitter, especially with Musgrove doing nothing this year. Just nice to see somebody else go out there and do something and get a little bit of notoriety. Team, I think overall is playing good baseball, but there's a white elephant in the room, and nobody really wants to talk about it much, and that's Manny Machado. I mean, this team is winning without him actually doing absolutely, in my opinion, nothing to help this team.
He had a couple of hits yesterday.
And, I think
he had a couple of hits yesterday,
25.
Steve. He had 2 hits in the first game of this series. I mean, I understand he's not tearing the cover off the ball right now, but he's been up and down. It has been a great year for him, and Steve, appreciate the phone call. Look, I'm not going to focus on Manny today and what didn't go right. Look, they had a great day. Dylan Cease pitched a no-hitter. Look, as Manny had a fantastic year, it has not been the best year for him. We all understand that. It's been up and down. But look, I guess if I'm going to put a glass half full kind of spin on what you said, meanwhile, they've won 5 in a row. They're playing good baseball, and that is for the most part without Manny being the Manny Machado we know he can be. So I'll kind of put it glass half full for you, Steve. And, okay. Didn't end on the most positive note on what was a great day for the Padres. But that's okay. Look, again, glass half full way of looking at that. They're playing good baseball despite Manny, not hitting a ton of home runs and, not being the Manny we know could be. And look, it's obviously been an up and down campaign for him. But they move on to Baltimore tomorrow. And first pitch tomorrow at 4:05 p.m. Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show begins at 3:05 as the Padres begin a 3-game series against the Orioles. On the mound for the Padres, we don't know yet. The Padres have not announced their starter for tomorrow's game. As we talked about pregame and during the rain delay, sounds like there's a number of different ways the Padres could go on the pitching side tomorrow. They could call up somebody from the minor leagues to make the start. They could go with more of a bullpen day. You do wonder how the no-hitter today and the fact that they had to use no relievers, they didn't use anybody out of the bullpen. You certainly wonder how that may impact what they do pitching-wise tomorrow. But long story short, the Padres have not announced their starting pitcher for tomorrow's game. On the mound for the Orioles tomorrow, it will be right-hander Grayson Rodriguez. So Rodriguez on the mound for the O's. And again, right now it is TBA for the Padres. First pitch at 4:05 p.m. and our pregame coverage begins at 3:05. As always, if you missed any of our post-game coverage, you can go back and listen to all of it on the Inside San Diego Baseball podcast with Sam Levitt on the Odyssey app or wherever you find your podcasts. You can also go back and watch any portion of our post-game show on the 97.3 The Fan YouTube channel. Go back and watch any portion you want. We are always available on video via the 97.3 The Fan YouTube channel. Taking a look at the final totals of this ball game here today. For the Padres, 3 runs, 6 hits, no errors. They left on 4. For the Nationals, no runs, no hits, 1 error. They left on 1. Dylan Cease improves to 10-8, a no-hitter. The first in his major league career, the second in Padres history on 114 pitches. Patrick Corbin takes the loss. He's now 2-10 on the season. Time of game, 2 hours and 6 minutes. A quick one, despite there being a 1 hour and 16-minute rain delay. And the attendance at Nationals Park in Washington, D.C., 20,755. Once again, pregame show begins at 3:05 tomorrow. First pitch at 4:05. Until then, for our great studio coordinator, Frank Marchese, I'm Sam Levitt saying so long from our San Diego studios. Chris Ello, Matt Scraby have you coming up next. They will replay my post-game conversation with Dylan Cease, a no-hitter for Cease on this Thursday. We'll talk to you tomorrow on the Padres Radio Network.